Good evening. Welcome to the Planning Development Advisory Committee virtual meeting by electronic participation for October 11th. This evening, we don't have any minor variances. We'll just be doing the minutes as part of the Committee of Adjustment, and then we'll adjourn that meeting, and then we'll move into the actual PDAC meeting where we'll be providing comments to the county on 3 severance applications. So I'll start the Committee of Adjustment call to order. Start with the roll call. Dennis O'Connor.
Present.
Deep Bassi.
Present.
Paul Sedra.
Present.
And Dan Kennedy.
Present.
And I, Councilor John Sapoulis, I'm present as well. In the audience, we have our Deputy Clerk, Jeff Bunn, our Secretary Treasurer, Lynn Banks, and County Planning Staff Member, Zachary Prince. So please note that the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in a meeting by electronic means or consenting to have the likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. So we'll start with the next item, pecuniary interest. Linda, did we receive any disclosures of pecuniary interest?
No, Mr. Chair, we did not.
Great, thank you. So we'll move into item 5, approval of minutes of September 13, 2022. May I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Dennis, second by Dan. All in favor? Dennis?
In favor.
Deep?
In favor.
Paul?
In favor.
Dan?
In favor.
And I'm in favor as well. So we have no applications for minor variance. We have no other matters, and we move straight into adjournment. So move to a mover to adjourn the Committee of Adjustment at 7:02.
I'll move it.
Mover by Deep, second by Paul. All in favor? Dennis?
In favor.
Deep?
In favor.
Paul?
In favor.
Dan?
In favor.
And I'm in favor as well. Okay, so let's move into the Planning and Development Advisory Committee, and I'll go through the roll call again. Okay, start with you, Dennis.
Present.
Okay, Deep Bassi.
Present.
Paul Sedra.
Present.
Dan Kennedy.
Present.
And I, Councilor John Sapoulis, I'm present as well. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Do we have any disclosure of pecuniary interest, gentlemen?
No.
No. No.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's move into item 5, approval of minutes of September 13th, 2022. May I have a mover?
I will.
Seconder, moved by Paul, second by Dan. All in favor? Dennis?
In favor.
Deep?
In favor.
Paul?
In favor.
And Dan?
In favor.
I'm in favor as well. So let's move into, there's no zoning bylaw amendment, no applications for site plan urban design review. We'll move directly into item 8. And I'll reiterate that please note that this meeting is video and audio recorded, and electronic meetings are uploaded to municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in a meeting by electronic means or consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. And we'll move quickly into the land divisions. And before I ask, read the first item, I'd like to let audience members know that this committee's mandate is to strictly to provide comments to the county's land division committee when it considers any of these severance applications for approval. And if you would like to be heard, please make arrangements with the Land Division Committee when it considers this, any one of these matters. And Lynn, do we have an idea when these items will be coming to the Land Division Committee?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't, but maybe Zach knows.
Through the chair, these are for the November 10th committee.
November 10th meeting. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Okay, let's move into the first one. 8A lot line adjustment application B123-22 also known as D10-AUD, Audrey Meadows, Part Lot 23, Registered Plan 61M-153, Township Puslinch. Proposed lot line adjustment is 8 meter frontage, 65 meters, or 526 square meters. Vacant land to be added to a budding parcel for accessing to a monitoring well related to development of Audrey Meadows subdivision, care of George Good. Retained parcel is 0.43 hectares with 71 meter frontage, existing and proposed rural residential lot. Okay, so Jeff, would you please put the item on the screen and also bring forward the applicant or the agent?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. I'll just ask Ms. Banks to confirm who the agent for this application will be. I just see two names in the, move Ms. Keist over at the, one moment. Thank you. I see that here.
Hello, this is Jeff Buseman speaking.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead. Please read your statements.
Okay, I am just to let you know, Haley Keist is joining me. She's works with me at Van Harten Surveying, and she's joining me as well. I'm in the midst of another public municipal meeting, and I may have to be drawn into that meeting as well. And Haley will take over if that happens. So I'll get going with this application. This application is for a lot line adjustment. You can see on that sketch there, a strip of about 8 meters, 6 meters wide. 8 meters wide, and it's to lead from Old Ruby Lane to a monitoring well. And then the whole idea here is that the remainder of lot 23, which is currently owned by George Good, can be sold and developed. It's a vacant lot right now. So the that little strip of land is going to be added to this very, very large piece of property, which basically surrounds this Audrey Meadows subdivision. And again, the purpose is to get access to this monitoring well, because if we were to sell lot 23 as it is right now, getting access to that well would be monitoring well would be almost impossible. And that monitoring well is used to monitor the flow of water within phase one. And it's there for just continual monitoring and just safekeeping. And so far, all the tests have been positive and so forth, but that's the purpose of the application. It is a little odd.
Okay, thank you. Lynn, were there any agency comments received?
Mr. Chair, the only comments we received were from the township's Building, Fire Services, and Public Works Department, and all of those departments had no concerns with this application.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's turn it over to committee members. Dennis, you're first.
Okay, I'm okay with this one. Makes a lot of sense.
Deep?
I'm good, no questions.
Paul?
I'm okay as well. Thank you.
Dan?
Had no issues with me.
Yeah, I'm okay in principle. I just had a question. Why only 8 meters? Like right now, you got that transformer pad there that's reducing that 8 meters. If you want to get a truck through, it's going to be, I don't know, maybe 5 meters or so. Why not, is there any reason why it wouldn't be wider?
Just a little bit on the practical side. They only need about 3 meters for a truck to get through. So the driveway is going to be on the right side of the transformer when you face it from the road. So they don't feel like they didn't really need any more land. They didn't need it any wider. And so it'd be probably detrimental to lot 23 if we made that any wider than it is.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Lynn, would you read the conditions proposed?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So the only condition we'll have is our standard condition regarding the owner satisfying any requirements of the Township of Puslinch Financial, and that includes taxes being paid in full, and then payments of the township's consent review and condition clearance fee.
Okay, great. So my suggestion is we support this application, and I have a mover and a seconder.
I'll move.
Moved by Dan and second by Dennis. All in favor, Dennis?
In favor?
Deep,
Favor.
Paul,
In favor?
Dan,
In favor.
and I'm in favor as well. Okay, let's move to the next one. Severance application B 2422. Also known as D10 MAC, Brandon and McDonald and Rebecca McNabb. Part Lot 3, Concession Gore, municipally known as 6529 Concession 1, Township of Portland. Proposed severance is 53 meters frontage by 76 meters or 0.4 hectares. Vacant land for proposed residential use. Retained parcel is 55 meter frontage by 76 meters or 0.41 hectares. Existing proposed rural residential use with existing dwelling, shed, and shop. Okay, Jeff, I assume that's yours as well.
Yes, it is. Thank you. This one's a bit unique. This property had a severance a number of years ago. That was to sever off the existing house that was there. This property had two houses a long time ago. And the house that you can see there was severed off a few years ago. This is in secondary ag, but I'm asking the committee to consider this an application similar to some of the prime ag situations where new parcels, where the committee has granted some new parcels in the past when they're a prime ag parcel, and it's just an infill, good practical lot. I'm gonna have to ask Haley to take over from me from here because I got a couple minutes yet. So it's if you saw the submission to the severance application, you'll recall we had several severances on Laird Road where they were a prime ag. In prime ag, they don't conform to the official plan, but they just made a lot of sense. And because they were basically an infill situation or a 2 acre lot splitting in half, this is basically the same kind of thing that we're asking for.
Okay, thank you. So before I move it into committee, I'd just like to have Zachary Prince come forward and provide some background and some more information. So first question I've got is, were there, obviously there have been previous severances where there was a severance was requested. A second severance was requested after 2005. Could you comment on what happened on that, on any of those circumstances?
Sure, through the chair. So I think what Jeff was mentioning is this severance was back in 2015, where it severed off the existing house. And just to clarify, maybe what Jeff explained, so whether it's the existing house or a vacant lot, that's still considered the vacant lot severance in the county official plan. So the examples that Jeff mentioned were in prime agriculture. Staff doesn't support those severances because that type of severance isn't permitted. But when you get into the secondary ag area, you are permitted to do one severance subject to criteria. So the county does rely on that growth policy by allowing some severances. So I think your question was some other examples for.
My question was, I understand there was a challenge by somebody who asked for a second severance and it went to LPAT.
Yeah. So through the chair, that was in 2017. Someone had a very similar file to this where they had a severance after that 2005 date and they applied for a second one. That did get the Land Division Committee denied that application, and then the applicant appealed it to the LPAT, and the county won that decision. So that policy still has remained in place, and that application was denied.
Okay, so could you now comment on the timing of the update to the official plan, which will discuss the date for severance applications? In other words, is there a new date being proposed or considered, that sort of thing?
Sure, yeah, through the chair. Basically, the county's in that process right now. The committee may recall the kind of some discussions around the municipal comprehensive review and the county's 5-year official plan review. So that basically sets all the framework for growth in the county. And the last time this date was updated was through a 5-year review back in 2013, I think. So that was OPA 81. So the county's currently in that same exercise that we went through about 10 years ago. I can't say if the date is going to change or not. But what I can say is, like, when it comes to kind of managing growth in the county, the secondary agriculture is kind of the last area for growth. Really, it's directed to areas on municipal services and not in the rural area.
Okay, so we'll start going around the table. Questions, Dennis?
Yeah, Jeff, the Foresthill Road one that you referred to, was there any workable land in those severances that were done there?
Yeah, through the chair, I think we maybe just need to move the other Haley over.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Courtney is able to do that, or.
Yes, I'm moving Haley over now. I see Jeff. I think Jeff has left. That was his screen there where he was sitting.
Yep.
All right, Haley, I don't know if you heard Dennis's question.
Yeah, sorry if you're just able to repeat that, Dennis.
Basically, what I'm asking is, Jeff used the reference to the Foresthill Road prime land. Looking at that map, and what I know of that basically was a farmstead, the original farmstead that was split up and not workable land. Is that correct?
Yeah, sorry, the one on Forestdale Road or Laird Road?
Or Laird Road, pardon me.
Oh, okay, Laird Road. Yeah, I don't believe
your example here, yes.
Yeah, so we did about three or four severances along that row, and none of them had workable land. There was one requirement, I believe, and we did a zone change to not permit animals in the one building, but I don't believe there was any workable land on all of them. And across the road on Laird Road was actually secondary ag, if I'm not mistaken. It was just that second
first question.
Prime ag.
Yeah, so it wasn't workable. So the land that we are looking at severing now is being worked and being farmed, and I think it's been farmed. I look back about 7 years as being farmed.
I think the land around it, but the actual parcel to be severed is not. When I was just looking over our covering letter, or Jeff's email, he did mention that it wasn't being.
It was today.
The severed
today. Yeah, it was worked today, and if I look back over field health images over the last few years, it's been worked with the parcel of about 71 acres all around it.
I see. Yeah, I was under the impression that it wasn't, but
I believe it is. Okay, so my only comment then would be that it's workable land, and probably we should stick with the rules.
Oh, it does say, sorry, I'm just looking at our covering letter. Jeff did say the land is not used and will likely be never used for agricultural operations, so there is no loss in farmland. The new lot makes use of an open yard that is generally not used other than cutting grass.
Today it was worked.
Okay.
And being planted.
Yeah, no, sorry, I haven't been to the property, so I can't say, but yeah. That was from the covering letter.
Yeah, it didn't match the covering letter, unless I'm totally out to lunch. So, okay, that was my questions.
Okay, moving on to you, Deep.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. I think this would set a new precedent, a dangerous precedent, whereas, for more severances to come through. So I'm not in favor for this. I don't have any further questions.
Paul?
Yeah, sorry, my internet's a bit choppy, so just let me know. But I'll echo Deep's comment, is that I just feel like we're going to open the floodgates. Like, this could really, I'm sure there's lots of property owners sort of just really looking for something like this to get their applications in. And you could even start opening up some of this, the change over the last few years with the provincial mapping being changed from secondary to primary. a lot of those are actually not even being farmed. So I just think that, to Deep's point, probably not
Sorry, Paul, you're breaking up.
that we want to set.
Sorry, Paul, we missed the last minute or so of your statement. You're muted right now. Okay, we'll move on to Dan, and we'll circle back to Paul and just to finish off his comments.
Yeah, Dennis makes some strong comments there, and I think we need clarification on that. And personally, I don't think we should support this either.
All right, so my thoughts are that we just asked for deferral of this application. The reason is that we're going through an official plan review. Circumstances might change, and it'll be an opportunity for this to get back into review. The other thing is, I'd like to also suggest that council, we make a recommendation to council that the council request the county to provide an update on the timing of the update of the severance policy. I agree with you that this does conform to the current severance policy, given that it's a second severance within the allotted time frame. But I think we have to be flexible enough not to say no at this time, but allow the people to make a new application, hold in abeyance the application until such time it can be reviewed again. So I was opening that for discussion. Any comments on that, Dennis?
I have no problem with that, just as long as we don't put it through this way under the present circumstance.
Okay, I understand that. Deep?
I'm good with that.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. It's just that, again, I just think that by being flexible, we are enabling a lot of different people to start voicing, like, we might start seeing a lot more of this. We might start seeing one.
Well, it doesn't matter what they do. If they want to spend the money and spin their wheels and go to county and get denied, then that's up to them. But I think this will send a message that something's coming down the pipe, and perhaps it might be favorable sometime in the future. We don't know when. And if a township asks the county for an update, then perhaps will be a more firm understanding of when it's going to open up. My concern is with everything that the prime agricultural areas are going to come through. The heritage lands are already in place. The greenbelt's going to come through, and there's very little opportunities for new homes to be constructed to increase our tax base. And I really don't want to throw that baby out with the bathwater until such time there is a firm policy in place from the county, or updated firm policy. So that's my spiel to you, Paul. I don't know if you're okay with the motion as suggested.
No, I'm okay with that. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
If you're going to defer it, can we bring it back to the committee at any point, or do we have to wait for a certain amount of time?
Well, I would suggest that the wording that we put in place is that the committee approves in principle and defer until such time as the policy is updated or circumstances arise to permit this application.
And is there any way to, because I believe for the other applications that were approved eventually, I don't think township provided support. So is there?
Excuse me, Haley, before you showed up, I asked a specific question of Zach, and Zach said, basically, there was a previous application where there was 2 severances within the allotted time, and it was denied by the county. It went to LPAT, and the LPAT supported the county. So I don't see any need to have us ask the county to respin their wheels on this item. Okay, so that's what I'm suggesting is that the motion say approval in principles and deferred until such time as the policy is updated or other circumstances arise to permit this application. So any discussions on that item?
I'm good with that.
Okay,
I support it.
moving a seconder. Moved by Dennis, second by Deep. All in favor? Dennis?
In favor.
Deep?
In favor?
Paul?
In favor.
Dan?
In favor.
And I'm in favor as well. All righty, so let's move into the next item, item 8C, severance application B 127-22, also known as D10 MUL, Andrew Muller and Marcella Bayman Muller, Part Lot 18, Concession 11, municipally known as 4541, Concession 11, Township of Puslinch. Proposed severance is 47 meters frontage by 135 meters or 0.63 hectares. Existing proposed rural residential use for his existing shed and workshop. Retained parcel is 88-meter frontage by 135 meters or 1.19 hectares existing, and proposed rural residential use for the existing dwelling, shed, and garden and pool. Okay, I guess you're on for this, Haley, as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Let Courtney put the drawing up first. Okay, Haley, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so a severance along Concession Road 11, pretty straightforward. Other than the existing, the severed parcel contains an existing building, a workshop that we would like to remain on the parcel. So we've seen this in the past a couple of times, and we're suggesting that we apply for a minor variance to allow the building to remain for a specific time until they're able to construct a dwelling on the severed piece. So that's just one thing to note with that. The existing dwelling will remain on the retained parcel, and there's a small shed attached to the garage that will be removed so that the garage can meet the setback requirements for the side yard. But other than that, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Okay, Lynn, were there any agency comments received?
The only comments we had were from the township's fire services and public works departments. They had no concerns. The building department did have a question, and they were wondering if there's any plumbing in the existing workshop. Other than that, they don't have any concerns from a building department perspective, excuse me, as long as the zoning is complied with.
Okay, so let's go around the table. Dennis.
Yeah, just looking at the map here, the lot line to the garage looks awful tight. Is it going to be far enough away that we don't have to have a adjustment made there?
Yeah, I believe we went out, or we had our field crews go out to actually tie in some of those buildings just so that we could meet it. So that the rear section where it says shed TBR will be removed, and then that way the garage will meet the setback requirements.
Okay, I see that. Both of them will be done. Okay, the last question I guess will be covered on our comments. So it looks like it's a tricky entrance way, or just on the top of a hill that might where they're showing the proposed entrance. When I was here the day, it looked a little bit tight as far as sight lines, but I guess we get that with the building permit, right?
And Jeff always evaluates it on site as well.
Okay, those are my questions. Thanks.
Okay, we'll turn over to you, Deep.
So is there any plumbing or electrical power to the workshop as of now, or no?
No, I confirmed with the client. He said there's a 200 amp electrical service, but no plumbing or heating.
Okay, so how would that work? So if the severance is approved, so they'll need a separate meter for that?
I'm guessing so.
I would think, Deep, that this will be part of the new lands to be severed. So the whatever electrical supply will have to come from the new owner's building.
Okay.
I don't see any way that a new owner would say, or the existing owner would say, you can have my hydro for free.
Yeah. Okay, so my second question was the safe access. I guess we already covered that, so no more questions.
Okay, we'll turn it over to you, Paul.
Yeah, just had a question. I was looking in the documents. Is there square footage available on the workshop? I wasn't able to see that.
Oh, it's on the sketch. We have it says approximately 220 meters square. And that I believe is a little over the zoning. So we would also have to include a variance request for the increased area. I believe 200 meters squared is the maximum.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at, because that's my only comment is that if it's over the approved amount for an accessory building, then well, I guess that'll have to be taken care of at some point in the future. And then my colleagues here, I guess it'd be a timeline to build that home as well, right? I saw that in there. So that's
yeah. When we've done that before, there's a deposit that's refundable, I think usually around 20,000 to the township, a time period to build the house and get occupancy. And also, what was the last one? An agreement with the township that it would be built in a specific time frame. So I guess if we were applying for that, we would also include the area of the building as well.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Dan?
Yeah, I just had the timeline on the house being built, so that's been answered. Thanks.
Okay, I was wondering if Lynn, you can confirm the process for the minor variance for the associated with the temporary dwelling or temporary accessory building.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So the owner of the property would have to enter into the minor variance. And one of the conditions of the minor variance would be that the owner enter into an agreement with the township to allow the workshop to remain on the property until the new house is built. Also, if after the new house is built, the owner complies with the total lot coverage for all buildings on the property, the workshop can remain. If the total lot coverage for all structures are over what is permitted, the workshop would have to be removed. There are timelines in the agreement that state once the owner gets a building permit, they have 12 months from the issuance of the building permit to get an occupancy permit for the new residence. If the owner does not get occupancy within 18 months of signing the agreement, then they will have to remove the accessory structure. The owner is also going to be required to provide the township with a $5,000 security when the agreement is signed. And in the event that the accessory structure has to be removed by the township, the security will cover the township's cost to get a quarter to remove it and for the demolition of the structure.
Okay, Lynn, so basically they're going to have to come back for a minor variance.
That's right.
Correct. So we'll be seeing this again if it gets approved at the county.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Okay, I don't have any questions. Anybody else have any second questions before we ask Lynn to read all the conditions? No. Okay, Lynn, can you just go through the conditions that you're asking us to support?
Certainly. So the first two are the township standard two conditions regarding the payment of taxes in full and payment of the township's consent review and condition clearance fee. The second condition is that safe access to the proposed severed lands can be accommodated to the satisfaction of the township. And then we're going to add that the owner apply for and receive a minor variance for lands to be severed to permit an accessory structure to remain on the property until the residential dwelling is built. The owner that the owner remove a small shed attached to the existing garage on the retained parcel to the satisfaction of the township. Further, that the owner provides a tree preservation and compensation plan to the township for the purpose of a peer review. And then the final condition, that the owner enter into an agreement with the township for the purpose of having the tree preservation and compensation plan peer reviewed to the satisfaction of the township and the county of Wellington. And that the owner shall be responsible for any township costs associated with review. And that's the last of the conditions.
Okay, so my suggestion is we support the severance application subject to the conditions. Does anybody else have any other conditions they think they would like to have added?
I was just going to add, maybe I'm mixing it up, but the size of the accessory building, do we not need a variance for that because it's over the size minimum?
Lynn, you want to comment on that point?
As it exists right now, Mr. Chair, if it's the only dwelling on the property, Ms. Fox can clarify, but I believe it would be permitted. I'm not sure quite what happens once the house is built and we look at the total lot coverage when they come through zoning.
Can I just, and I don't know the details, but I have looked through the official plan and there is, the accessory building is, it even doesn't matter the size of the home. My understanding is there's a maximum size to that for the lot this size. I may be mixing it up, but maybe somebody from the county can comment or some maybe.
I believe it is 200 meters square, even from our covering letter.
Yeah, so then this is over that.
Yeah.
So then what we could do then is add a clause in, Paul, that the owner apply for and receive a minor variance application for the size of the auxiliary building, auxiliary structure remaining on the property.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Zach, you have a comment?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt, but just a quick comment on that, because Lynn has already there's already one zoning compliance condition in there. I'm not sure if you need two necessarily, but the other thing to consider is this structure is already existing too. So if they did get a building permit and it was legal at that point in time, then that would be considered legal non-conforming. That's something that we would look into if the township had a zoning compliance condition in there, and that would capture everything on the property.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, Zach, but at the same time, I'd like to respect Paul's comment that he's made an observation that I think should be reflected somehow. Can we not say receive a minor application for the lands to be severed to permit an auxiliary structure to remain until the existing dwelling is built, including any zoning compliance requirements for the building size? Would that work for you, Zach? Sorry, Zach, didn't hear you.
Yeah, that would, I mean, I think that clarifies the zoning compliance condition, because then it would still capture everything that needs to be addressed.
All right, so Paul, we'll just say including any zoning compliance issues in there to capture your point. This is on item 3. Let the owner apply for and receive a minor variance for the lands to be severed to permit an accessory structure to remain till the resident building is built, and including any zone compliance issues. And for any zone compliance issues. Does that work for you, Paul?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, so with that amendment, I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Dennis, second by Paul. All in favor? Dennis?
In favor?
Deep?
In favor?
Paul?
In favor?
Dan?
In favor.
And I'm in favor as well. Okay, other matters? I have no other matters. Closed meeting, none. Next meeting is Tuesday, November the 8th at 7 p.m. Lynn, do we have any idea how we're doing agenda-wise for that meeting?
Mr. Chair, so far we have 2 minor variances, and we haven't received any severances yet, but I expect they will come at the end of the week, so there might be a couple of those also.
Okay, so last item is the adjournment, and I'd like to move the adjournment meeting at 7:40 PM. So may I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move it.
Moved by Dan, second by Deep, all in favor? Dennis,
In favor?
Deep,
In favor?
Paul,
In favor?
Dan?
In favor.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks,
you.
Courtney.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, guys.
Good night.
Good night.